So, hi, thank you so much for the introduction. I'll be the moderator of this session called What Would the World Would Look Like If Half of All Entrepreneurs Were Women? So we all are women and we all are entrepreneurs. I'm not the entrepreneur, but anyway. So thank you so much everyone to be here. And as you may already know, the challenge of gender gap is everywhere, literally everywhere, especially in Japan. The situation is very severe and harsh, you already know. So we also see this in entrepreneurs, environment of entrepreneurs. Maybe you guys know better than me and experienced it and overcame all those things, I guess so. And I also think it's very nice to have this discussion in this floor here, where we have many entrepreneurs and startups and VCs and people in companies. I like to share and discuss about this with all of you here. So we have wonderful speakers here today. Thank you so much for coming. And I'll have the introduction first. And they are investor and entrepreneur, supporter of women entrepreneurs. So we like to discuss this issue with you guys and share your point of view to lead a better world or better future, better society in this session. So let's move on to the introduction part. So first, could you please share your introduction to the audience? Erika-san.
Yeah, sure. My name is Erica. Thank you guys all for coming today. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Selective. I'm Japanese, but I spent most of my life in the UK and the US. I went to the UK from a very young age by myself, and I graduated from Imperial College London with a master's degree in material science and engineering.
Science.
Yeah.
So you are tech major?
Yes.
Science major.
Exactly. So after graduating from Imperial, I came back to Japan and joined Sumitomo Electric Industries. And I was,
No, it was.
Yeah, I was working at Sumitomo Electric Industries and doing novel research for novel coatings for carbide cutting tools. Prior to joining a company, though, I did a lot of research by myself at a university, and so joining a company, I had the opportunity to work with really smart people to do R&D work together, and that's when I realized that it's all about the team and people. And so I became very interested in this and wanted to pursue the people aspects of running a business. So I went to the US and did an MBA at UCLA, and changed my career into becoming an HR professional. After post-MBA, I stayed in the States, and I worked at companies like Mattel, the toy company, if you're familiar with Barbie and Hot Wheels. Exactly, and also Riot Games, the company that put esports on the map. But at both companies, I was working as an HR business partner, doing human capital management, work like organizational strategy, recruitment, performance management, compensation, etc. 5 years ago, I came back to Japan and to lead HR at an advertising agency. And so what I do now is I founded Selective. It's a network of the best professional freelance talent in Japan. And we have a rigorous screening process for freelancers. And so we offer this top-tier talent to companies in Japan to solve business challenges. And not only that, we are helping freelancers to run their business by providing opportunities to find jobs, tools that they need, a freelance OS to run their businesses, and also the community so that they can network with like-minded peers. Thank you.
Great, thank you so much for sharing your introduction. And next, Kanako-san.
Thank you. Hi, I'm Kanako Inoue, a general partner at NextBlue. NextBlue is a fairly new venture capital founded in 2020 We have 4 partners across the globe, me here in Tokyo, 3 others in Berlin, San Francisco, and Singapore. So our first fund was actually a general fund, but our second fund is dedicated to female well-being and female entrepreneurs. We are very passionate about female well-being because it affects half of the population, and also by unlocking the female well-being space, we will be able to empower thousands and millions of women in the world.
Wow.
So as a lot of us know, our healthcare system historically has treated women as smaller men, ignoring the biological differences. But recently, we realized that women and men are actually pretty different. So, for example, like symptoms for diseases are different between women and men, and how drugs affect women and men are very different. And as we accumulate these kinds of meaningful data on female healthcare, we will be able to unlock huge opportunity in this space. So even in like the past few years, we have seen so much change in the female healthcare space. Before, when we talk about female healthcare, it was all about reproduction. But in the past few years, we have seen many startups emerge in the areas of menopause, diagnosis, next generation devices. So it is really exciting to follow this area right now. Also, female founders is a very important topic for us as well. Not really from a DEI perspective, but because a lot of the solutions for women's health are created by female entrepreneurs. So 80% to be exact. So if we don't have enough female entrepreneurs, then we will not have enough solutions for women's health. Yes. Having said that, unfortunately, only 2% of VC funding is going to female entrepreneurs right now.
Only 2%?
Only 2%, unfortunately.
Among the world? In the world?
In the world. And actually in Japan, it's worse. I think it's around 1 to 2%. And obviously, this is not enough. So NextBlue is still a very small fund, but we are hoping to move the needle forward and to support female founders change the world. So very happy to be here with these amazing women, and I hope you enjoy the session. Thank you.
Thank you. And lastly, Liam, please.
Firstly, I want to say a big thank you to Yuko and also to Sushi Tech for inviting me here. I live in Singapore, so I flew in just for this event to be here with all of you today. And it really is a great honor to be part of this. One of the things that the reason why we founded She Loves Tech was my 4th startup. So I've been an entrepreneur for a while, and it really was for 2 main reasons. For one, that Kanako mentioned that women were underfunded and undervalued, but half of our population are women. So in the early days, She Loves Tech, this is our 10th year, and in our first year that we were doing She Loves Tech, we realized, hey, there was no shortage of entrepreneurial programs, of startup competitions around back in 2015. But where were the women? You would see all men on stage, organized by men, judged by men, and where are the women? Everybody assumed that this was the case because there was no women. This was not the case. There were many, many great women entrepreneurs building groundbreaking technologies. But where were they? The reality is they were very good at what they were doing, but they were in the office putting their heads down and doing the good work, thinking that when they do, and they do very good work, that people would notice them, people would recognize them. Well, I always say, if you are not visible, then you are not visible. Nobody will know of you if you are not out there and you are not at some of these conferences or have the networks to be able to take your startup to the next level. So we started She Loves Tech to be able to give a stage for visibility for women tech founders. Now, fast forward, we are in our 10th year, and we are the world's largest startup competition and accelerator program for women tech founders. We operate in 76 countries around the world, and we've had about 15,000 startups come through She Loves Tech. The community that we built is a really important one because, as we all know, no startup can do everything by themselves. So you need to have a very good, solid community to be able to make sure that your company is successful. And that's what She Loves Tech provides: the visibility, the community, and now the tools and resources to grow and to scale through our accelerator program. So we also run the world's largest accelerator program for women tech founders. We do this for ourselves, but we also do and run programs for others. For example, we run the UN Women's Climate Tech Accelerator for Southeast Asia startups. And also, we've just finished up ecosystem mapping for UN SCAP, the Economic and Social Commission for Asia Pacific. And we did an ecosystem mapping for female tech founders across Asia Pacific and have just finished up the report.
Wow.
So we're really excited about this. Our founders have raised around $600 million post She Loves Tech. And our goal is that by 2030, we unlock $1 billion of capital for our women founders in our community. Thank you so much for having me.
Wow, great. So you made all those wonderful women visible, and they made them connect to the community. So that's wonderful, activity, and I love that. And let me introduce myself. I'm Yuko, and of Mashing Up. And what I've been doing is kind of like yours, Lian. And mashing up means to literally mash up people to make things happen and connect different people in the event. And we just started this event like this, and we initially promoted women empowerment, started as a women empowerment event in 2018. But later on, we started to provide ESG related information via our event and articles. So I'm leading this event and media outlet as a chief editor. And we had this event in 2022, and together with a team from the Japanese government, financial service agency, we organized a workshop on solving the challenges of gender gap ecosystem in startup. So that was it made me think about this issue very seriously. This was the starting point of how I settled this theme in this session. So according to the report on the workshop, also it revealed significant gender inequalities in process such as raising capital and going public, etc. So female entrepreneurs face many difficulties during their journey as an entrepreneur, as a business person. And I just thought it's only in Japan specifically, but things are not like that. This is not unique to Japanese environment. According to the OECD library, the percentage of women who start or run a business is 30% lower than that of men. And also it says women are less likely than men to be self-employed. So this is a situation in 2021. And also according to the OECD library's writing, reflecting on, it is, so gender gap in entrepreneurship is a persistent and cost economies ideas, innovation and jobs. And it also has big economical impact. So it says, this is what Canadian government said in 2021, if women started and grew their business at the same rate as men, they could add 150 billion Canadian dollars to their economy, it's not small. So having this understanding, with this understanding, we'd like to move on to the discussion part. So I have this question. I'd like to ask this question to you guys. And how do you see the environment for women entrepreneurs as an entrepreneurs or as a VC? What do you think? What do you see? What do you see, Leanne?
So maybe I start with something that's quite optimistic, right?
Okay.
So when we first started She Loves Tech, as I mentioned, it really was not common to have a lot of women tech founders around. In fact, I think like I mentioned, so many people thought that women just didn't build technologies. I had a lot of investors in the early days come to me and say, oh, see, we're at a blockchain event and you're the only woman. And it's because women don't like technology and they don't build good technology businesses. They only know how to build fashion and beauty. Well, we knew that this was not true also because for myself, I had built a fintech company and then I had built an art and tech company that was definitely not fashion nor beauty. But I also noticed from my network that there were other really, really, really wonderful women who were building core technologies in blockchain, in fintech, in medtech, femtech, and so many more. So one of the things that we have done at She Loves Tech is to really try and change that by providing that visibility to make sure that people see, because they assume that there isn't when they don't see them. But when they see them, then they realize, hey, there actually are more women entrepreneurs than they thought. So the good thing is that that man who actually told me that women don't build good technologies is now an investor as well, and a supporter of She Loves Tech. And so things have changed around. So I really have quite an optimistic view because I do see things changing and changing for the better. And maybe if I can give one more example. Back in 2018, I'm an investor into a VC fund in Singapore. It's made up of two male and white male GPs, investors, and they said, oh, Leanne, it's not that we don't want to invest in women, there are just no good women to invest in.
They said so?
They said so. And I said, well, no, I think that is untrue. You're just looking in the wrong places. So we partnered up. We shared our She Loves Tech pipeline with them. They also started their own female founders mentoring hours. Now, what happened when you have the intentionality is that their portfolio companies changed from 16% of having at least one female founder to now more than 50%.
50%.
So it really makes a difference when you have the intentionality and you're very specific at where you are looking, who you are partnering up with. Because if you don't try, you're never going to find good female founders.
So you made things visible and convince them, and so the situation is really changing since you launched the She Loves Tech.
It is definitely changing, and I'm sure that you will speak about the flip side that is not enough, right? But we definitely need a lot more She Loves Techs, a lot more of all of you. Everyone has a part to play, from male and female. And if we all play our part, we can really change this. But maybe I would leave you to talk about the big gap.
I mean, I'm actually very optimistic about the environment for female entrepreneurs as well. I joined the VC industry 8 years ago, and same as her, I see a lot of differences. So we have significantly more female entrepreneurs as well as significantly more venture capitalists, female venture capitalists. So things are changing, and I am very optimistic about that. And I think if this trend continues, the future will be very bright. But having said that, of course there is more we can do to speed up the process. And so talking about the challenges, but when we look at the entrepreneurial journey, we see that women struggle in two areas, more than men, two areas. The first one is at the beginning of the entrepreneurial journey. So starting a company for women is very difficult. And the second area is fundraising. And if I elaborate a little more, well, numbers vary from source to source. But when we look at startups who are seeking outside investment, only 6 to 9% are founded by women, which means that we don't have enough female entrepreneurs. And there are many reasons for that, but I think one of the main reasons is our cultural norm. So the Japanese culture expect women to have certain roles in families or society. And I think that shies women away from starting a business, and that is obviously one of the challenges we have in Japan. The second one is fundraising, as I said before, but only 2% of VC funding is going to women, and in Japan it is 1 to 2%. The sad part is this hasn't changed in the past 5 to 10 years. So in Europe, they have been tracking the change in percentage of female entrepreneurs getting funded by VCs, but this hasn't changed in the last 5 years, and even like some of the years it was worse than the before. So obviously we have to do something about this, and this is obviously one of the big challenges that we have as female entrepreneurs.
Well, so do you see the gap between European situation and Japanese situation regarding cultural background? So you see the difference, or what kind of, in general, in Japan, women are expected a certain role in stay back at home, and you'd be better be with their kids, etc. So that's the first, barrier we are facing as a Japanese entrepreneur. And the second one is fundraising. Those two are what you mentioned. And what do you think we need in Japanese society or economy or supporters to change this situation?
So changing a culture is very difficult, and I think it involves like generational change. So it's very difficult to talk about that side. But in terms of fundraising, I think many people think that if we increase the number of women on the investor side, things will get better, and I also agree to that. And some of the things that the experts have been talking about is, for example, educating the LPs and holding them accountable for the diversity of their portfolio. The second one is setting a goal or a quota for female representation in the investment committee. So these two things are very drastic, and of course it's not for everyone, but I think this can really make a change. Interesting. So you have an experience in working abroad, and the difference between abroad and Japan. What do you see? What do you see the situation?
Yeah, sure. I think there's a lot of cultural differences here, and on a personal note, I've as a female entrepreneur in Japan, I wish that people are more open-minded in the sense that some of the challenges I face is when I'm talking to a man, they don't look me in the eye. And so,
really?
Yes, I think they're embarrassed and they don't look me in the eye. And so, how can we do a basic, do business deals if they don't even have the basic respect to look me in the eye? And I think some of the changes are happening to promote women in the workplace. Some of the leadership opportunities, the management opportunities, these are great. But I think the difficulty that we now face is you're now asking us to step up and to perform. But we have been systematically disadvantaged for hundreds of years in Japan as women. And so suddenly being asked to step up and to perform, it's very, very difficult. And so, what is the solutions for this? I think programs to support women, to actually give us the tools to get the business acumen that we need. The other thing is support network, like which Leanne is talking about. I think support is everything, especially given the fact that business is very relationship driven. And this takes time. So any programs that's put in place, I think people are looking for results within 1 or 2 years. But in order for us to gain the confidence and build our support network and to make the business connections, this takes time. And so any program that's built, I think, needs to have a long look back term, not just a year or two, but getting women to the tools that she needs to step up. I think it needs to be a long-term approach, not just like a short-term, hey, let's get performance type of thing.
I see. So that's exactly what you're doing, Leanne.
Yes, definitely. I think just to maybe speak as well and comment on my other two fellow panelists, what I heard both of you all say was that we need to shift the culture. I think while that is definite, but that also means that firstly, before we are able to shift the culture, we need to shift our individual mindsets. And that's really important because unless we shift the mindsets, we will never be able to shift the culture. Erica spoke about, investors not looking her in the eye. I've had the same experience even in Singapore, right? Even in Singapore. So this is a global phenomenon that happens in Japan, but it also happens elsewhere. I know here in Japan that relationships are really important, especially for fundraising. And that is very similar as well across Asia. One of the biggest challenges is that when it comes to fundraising is a club. It is. VC is a club. If you are not in the club, it's very, 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 very hard for you to get funded. So how do you?
Oh yes, definitely. Yeah, we have like our own WhatsApp group where we share deals. So it's like a very small club. Yes.
Oh, I didn't know that. So you are one of the club members. But
yes, my partner in Berlin worked very hard to get into the club.
all right. And
So I think it's really important that you find ways to get into a club, whether you're a woman investor, right, or a woman entrepreneur. Both sides, you have to find ways to get into the club because that's where, for entrepreneur, you get the funding and access to capital. For the investors, you get the access to deal flow. How do you get into the club? Okay. Firstly, you need to be visible. You really need to put yourself out there, right? And make sure that you network. It's so important. Relationships here in Japan are really important, but that is the same for the startup ecosystem. Your network is your most important asset. You have to keep building. Today you are here at a large conference. I would really encourage all the female entrepreneurs out there to go to network. Make sure that you speak to at least 20, 30 people because that's how we build up our network. We have to be brave to go and speak to people and to go and build that up because you never know who is going to have that power to let you into the club. And so it's really important to make sure that we break those barriers. And if you are in the club, please pull other great people into the club with you as well.
wow. So how many of you are entrepreneurs in this floor? Raise your hand, entrepreneurs. No?
They're shy.
They're shy.
We have one.
I have one. So just make connection with those people and try to get in the club. That's the key.
If I were to add one more,
Yes.
that we see data from our thousands of startups is that firstly, women tech entrepreneurs reach out to less VCs, while the male counterparts are reaching out to 50 to 100 VCs to pitch. Female founders only reach out to less than 10 sometimes. And this is, it's like a job. If you only reach out to one or two, do you think you're going to get a job? It's very hard. The probability is much smaller. But if you go out and cast your net wider, you may have a lot of no's, but actually the most important is just that you have at least one yes. And then also not to take things personally. When I remember when I was fundraising and investors never looked me in the eye, I would take it very personally. I would get upset. Oh, they are so rude. Oh, they don't show me any respect. But actually, it's not personal. A lot of times these things happen because they're not comfortable. It's not that they don't want to look you in the eye or be respectful, but they're not used to it because they're more used to dealing with men. So let's try as well to make sure that if you are a man, maybe bring a fellow woman into the room with you to have these meetings to make sure that the questions you ask, the way that you are behaving is also accountable and also represents the respect that the female entrepreneurs deserve.
Wonderful. So the mindset of individuals are so important, like what you mentioned. So I heard that you face the challenges as an entrepreneur. What do you think about this question? What are your personal experience? Can you share that?
Yeah, sure. About what Lian was saying, I think so we've gone through 2 rounds of fundraising. We are around the early phase pre-A series. During my first seed funding, I think Lian's right in that I probably reached out to less than 10 VCs. And I think every time there was some feedback or rejection, I think I took it very personally.
You took it personally?
Yeah, I took it personally. And I think it's understandable in the sense that, our startup is our baby. We put in everything into it. And to get your baby rejected, it's very hurtful.
Yeah.
I think so that was my learning in the first seed funding. But during the second fundraising, I met some great men along the way as well who had gone through more later stages. And so then they were able to take me under their wing and to give me the mentorship that I needed. I think I probably reached out to 30 or 40 VCs to do the second fundraising. And it was great in the sense that when someone is in a club, to have them pull you in, because some of the mentors that I met, they were able to pull me into the club. They were able to get me FaceTime that I needed with the investors. And given the fact that Asian business, especially in Japan, is so relationship driven, you really need someone vouching for you and then opening that door for you. And that is everything to have that conversation being started. And that allows you to step up onto the stage and to be visible.
Now you are visible and now you have a great mentor to open the door to the club.
Yeah.
So that was the key, and that is a main barrier for women entrepreneurs.
Yeah, I think having really great mentors and door openers is really important. And also meeting VCs that really give you good feedback. Actually, I pitched to Kanako and she also gave me some great feedback too.
Great. So that's why you earlier mentioned about women entrepreneurs need supporters.
Yeah.
That's what you mean. I see. Well, okay. So move on to the third question. So I think we kind of already discussed about it already, but what do you think if half of the world's entrepreneurs were women? What kind of word it would be if they reflected a natural, diverse, inclusive society? what the word would be? Okay, Kanako-san.
Yes. So when we say, when we assume that half of the world's entrepreneurs are women, we naturally assume that these women also have access to equal funding.
Yeah.
So as I've been saying over and over, this is actually not the case, unfortunately. For example, in Europe, 30% of entrepreneurs are already women, but still only 2% of funding goes to these 30% women. So even if half of the world's entrepreneurs were women, we have to work very hard to really reflect on the financial side and allocate these funds equally to female entrepreneurs. Having said that, if we assume that half of the world's entrepreneurs were women, and if they get the funding that they needed, it will be a great place for both women and men. When we look at the areas of female entrepreneurs starting a business today, the top segments are healthcare, education, living related, and social care. So there will be more solutions in the areas of like female health, like family tech, which supports working mothers and fathers, and also elderly care related products. So women will have more solutions to choose from, which will definitely help them live a better life. And even for men, it should be a better experience because the important people in their life, like mothers, daughters, wives, girlfriends, they are going to live a much happier and healthier life because of these solutions. So I think the world will be a better place, yeah.
Will bring more happy, well-being related society. So, and it was kind of shock that if half of the entrepreneurs were women, still we need more. I mean, in each and every sector, each and every division, we need, gender equality. That may be, required in our society, of course. So, what do you see? What do you see in?
I really love this question, right? Because this question answers, I think, two things. Firstly, as Tanaka was saying, what we see our women entrepreneurs building, we don't see our women entrepreneurs building technologies just for the sake of it. They're not building a technology just to create more issues, but actually they're building technologies and businesses to solve problems, to solve some of the world's greatest challenges that is faced by themselves, their families, their communities, their societies. And last week, I was in Paris, and our startups were pitching, and we could see it very clearly. What they were solving was problems with air quality, climate change, problems with healthcare. We had a femtech startup, problems that was really facing, every single woman. And these are the things. Women solve real world problems. So what I love about this question, firstly, is that, we wouldn't just have technologies building for no real reason. We really would have technologies being used as a tool to solve some of these very pressing challenges and problems. And then the other part of when you told me about this topic is I love it talks about half of the world's entrepreneurs are women. At She Loves Tech, we believe so much in inclusivity. We don't believe that it's just the men being the men and the women being the women. Actually, we see the best results when we do it together. So at She Loves Tech, when we look at our entrepreneurs, we actually encourage them to build diverse founding teams, to make sure that they are accountable, to make sure that the businesses have diverse perspectives. Because when we look at the statistics, diverse founding teams, diverse leadership teams, having both men and women building businesses together brings the best results. It's better revenues, better decisions, faster decisions, more accountability, and better economics and social decisions all around. So it's so important to do it together and not to look at it as separate, that we need to do programs just for the women and not include the men. So even for our programs, we make sure that our judges, our mentors, our speakers are both men and women, because it really is important. And we are currently in the midst of building our own VC fund that invests in the power of diversity and diverse leadership and founding teams. So thank you so much, because I love this topic.
Wow, I'm so honored and I'm so glad that you love this question. So you mentioned about inclusivity. So I guess we all are feminists, of course, but we're not, we understand that diversity is the key, and we also want to include everyone, and inclusivity is the most important thing. And it's not about women, it's about elderly citizens, elderly people, young ones, race. So inclusivity is the most important part to make better society, or even economy or business, I think. And we only have 2 minutes, so can you give one last comment to the audience, please? Kanako-san, please go ahead.
Well, thank you very much for coming here. This topic is very close to all of our hearts. So, but like when I ever talk about this topic, a lot of people ask me, how do you do it? Like, they want to meet more women entrepreneurs. They want to support more entrepreneurs, but they haven't been able to do that. And whenever I'm asked that question, I just give them one famous quote: do or do not, there is no try.
Do not?
Do or do not.
Do or do not.
There is no try.
There's no try.
Just do it.
Yeah. Just do it.
Nike.
It's Master Yoda.
Yeah. Wow. It touched me. Okay, can you share your comment to the audience? Erika-san?
As Kanako said, I think we live this day in, day out, every day, and so this is a topic that's very close to our heart. There's a lot of challenges for female entrepreneurs. I know, because I am one myself, but there are so many supporters out there, and so what we have to do is to find our support network, and with all of the people who love us and support us, we can definitely build great businesses to make an impact in society.
Great. Thank you so much. So it's almost the end of the session, and we talked about we need support for women entrepreneurs, and we need to change our culture in Japan maybe, and we also have to change our mindset as an individual. And lastly, inclusivity is the key to make better society. Diversity and inclusion. It's not only about women, but about men. And Leon, what you said, we have to support each other. We have to involve everybody and try to open the door to the better society. So thank you so much for you guys. It's almost the time. It's the end of the session. And please, thank you so much for all of you who are in the floor. So give great applause to the great speakers we had. Thank you so much.